Well, supposedly I'm live. Big supposedly. So there's that. I don't even know. Think it is live, but not sure. Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome to the stream. So on the last stream I didn't read the chat at all. Cause reasons. I spoke. This time I do have the chat open, so I see you there, spoke. Yeah, so I'm just gonna be playing GTA. Playing is kind of like a... I don't know if you could consider playing, but just gonna be like doing whatever on a solo GTA thingy, I guess. I don't know, I'm just really bored. Then, yeah. Yes. But, yeah, sorry, I can't freaking speak that well. For some reason. My brain is just not on the right spot, I guess. Not like it ever was, but I'm more distracted than usual, so... Yeah. Memes, I guess. Memes. Anyway, so, yeah. We're also going to be listening to the audiobook again, because, I actually do like the audiobook. It's actually pretty legit, so, yeah. You're looking at the captions. You're outside in the rain right now. Why are you outside and in the rain? Well, you could be inside in your bed, just, I don't know, comfy or whatever. You know. Why would you be outside? Just wondering, you know. You're not getting wet, but you like the rain. Fair enough. I used to like the rain. I used to like going, not while raining, but after the rain. I used to just going on the freaking puddles and you know, just, yeah. I used to like doing that. Now I don't freaking, yeah. So many things I used to like that I don't do anymore. Yeah, I don't know, it's just weird, I guess. It's not really weird, but people make it weird, if that makes sense. And they really shouldn't, but they do. Why they do it, I have no idea, but they just do it. I'm also checking something because the bot just gave me a weird message. Hello, Mr. Bot, are you good? I think the bot is fine, but not working correctly or something. Oh, it's because it needs an update. Well, screw your update right now. I don't care. Honestly. It's oh, the bot needs an update because you haven't updated in a month. I'm not even kidding. It's been a month. Actually, probably more than a month. But, yeah. You know. I'm such a bad person. Honestly. You're gonna go check my TikTok. What the hell? No. Get off my TikTok. Why are you bullying me? Honestly. Why are you bullying me? Yeah, well, let's just load this thing in. that's still not a thing, Spoke. It's been a while since that been a thing. You know what's hot? How fast I load into GTA now. Like, do you remember? Like, even on the last stream, like, if you go to the video of the last stream, like, it took whatever, I was on the loading screen, whatever, like, yeah. Now it's like, oh yeah, you want to hear? Alright, bet. And like, I just loaded instantly, and the only thing I did was, move GTA from external to like internal on the Series X, and goddamn, so good. Actually, Morgan showed me that because like his GTA just instantly loaded, and I was like, I take forever to load. So yeah, now I don't take forever to load, and it's amazing, honestly. Hey, look, this is the most that I get. It's like joining GTA Online, and then like it just connects to the server or whatever. Like, I'm sad. Like, look at that, it's done. No longer 10-hour freaking cloud screens on GTA. Yeah, we have just a couple bugs here and there, but that's just normal GTA, I guess. Now here we are. Within just like, I don't know, a couple seconds, I'm in GTA Online on a private session on my own little server, doing whatever memes I do. You have a 5% discount in shops where achieving good behavior reports 9% of your peers. That's nice. I'm like, that's nice. I have one GTA friend playing in another session. Imagine having friends. Cause I freaking don't. Okay, who's playing GTA? Ninja's playing that. Oh, okay. Dylan's playing GTA. Explains nothing. I guess he's the only one playing GTA. Minecraft play on the realm. I play on the server. But I won't. Alright, let's go get and pick up, wait, what's on the thing? Oh, that car. I'm like, what's on the thing? Let's go pick up the free money real quick, and then, yeah. Thank you. Alright, and then we come here, spin. Let's see. If I get something bad, I'm gonna rage quit. I'm ready to rage quit. What am I getting? Car just went by. RP, money, chips, discount. Screw that. Okay, I know. I know I usually don't do that, but I take very little to freaking load GTA. So like that was literally one of the main reasons why I never did this thing, to like not get whatever on the wheel, was because GTA took forever to load, and like now it doesn't. So like I can just do this, be back in a couple seconds, and yeah. So now I do this if I don't want whatever the freaking thing wants to give me. Like, there were so many times I just didn't want clothes or whatever, or like the freaking discount, like bruh. Like, yeah, just because I didn't want to restart. We were playing Fortnite yesterday, and honestly, it wasn't bad. Dude, it's actually pretty fun. Like, Fortnite now is actually extremely fun. Because of the hammer, like, guns are actually slightly more balanced. The freaking shotguns are actually, like, good. Like, they're not the OG guns, and there's not the OG glitches and whatever, but, you know, it worked. This version is actually pretty good. And the augments also help, like, a lot. Like, being able to ping people on every single storm, or, like, you know, like bush camping, bro. I love the bush warrior thing. I just go in a bush and I heal up, like, bro, that's amazing. And, like, it heals up so quickly. It's like you don't have to spend so much time in the bush to heal up. It's so amazing. So, like, yeah, I just wish it would work with every single bush. Because, like, I find myself, like, hiding in normal bushes as I usually do. And, like, it doesn't work on those. So, like, it would be nice if it did. Okay, before I get my money there, I'm gonna do the spin, just in case I don't like it. Oh, the money, I mean, that's kinda like a feature from one of the guns, one of the pistols I used to rock, way back then. But, yeah, it is cool. Why did you just kick me from the thing? You literally kicked me from the wheel, what the hell? Let me spin. There we go. Again, if I don't like it, I'm just gonna be ready to quit. What am I getting? RP? Ah, bad. I'm down with that.
One pint of that strong beer and you're anyone.
Dude, move. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I really like this version of Fortnite that we're on. Thank you. Goodbye. Don't get me wrong, there's some things that I kind of don't like about Fortnite at the moment, but, you know, for the big majority, it's actually pretty amazing. I like using the hammer, I like using the augments, except for one. Freaking balloons. They were fun when they first came out. They're annoying now. Because, like, you don't run out of them if you pick them, and he just picks you up at the worst time. Like, you're engaged in battle, right? And you're hiding behind a rock, whatever. Freaking second balloon just pops up, and he's like, what? And you just start floating, and he's like, bro, you just kill me. So, like, yeah, balloons. That was a miss, honestly. Alright. Well, I finished the memes. I got my money. Speaking of, do I have money on myself? I probably do. Yeah, I do. Alright. Money services. I still don't know how this works. Like, you're depositing your money, but, like, you know, how? How the frick do they know, like, I actually have the money? Like, if that worked in real life, it will be a giant hack. Just saying. Alright, well, we're basically ready. So, yeah. That's alright, yeah. It's... yeah. I mean... I don't know completely, like, if it's a bad, like a full-on bad, because, like, they're useful. They're really useful sometimes. But god damn, they just pop at the wrong time. Like, it's just, yeah. Alright, where's my audiobook? I'm like, where's my audiobook? Where is my audiobook, actually? Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's make it small. This time I was playing audio. Shut up. Alright, let's play.
What's the harm? One question.
Okay. There you go.
Then I'm dropping the phone in the garbage disposal. Where? Johnstown, New York. The next breath I take tastes of befouled meat. The room filled with the rank odor of the tannery. Nate, you still there? I'm here.
Alright.
I need an answer.
The chat and everything.
Fuck you.
So.
I'm still waiting. Okay.
Let's just do memes.
Okay, what? Okay, I'm in.
What?
How do I get there? We can drive you to the airport right now.
No way.
We? Me and Fernandez, Tillman says. We're parked out front.
Hold on.
Part 3.
Bro.
The Bone Man's House. 12. Johnstown is the sort of place common to the Mohawk Valley. Perhaps the only sort of place it has left. A one-industry town that has long since lost its one industry, and now exists for a collection of lesser reasons. People who should have left a generation ago but haven't got around to it yet. City people looking for a Victorian to renovate. The region's transient unemployed who are always on the lookout for cheaper rent and rumors of work that lure and evaporate like mirages. Despite their obvious problems, there are always some who see solutions in upstate towns like these. A return to the past,
Dude, I just want
a
to show you my
reinvention of
blade.
the future, a flight from themselves. Even the briefest excursion through the old streets after sliding off the 30A that bypasses town gives a reason to see that, with the right idea and good
I don't know
timing,
where that went in.
something might be done here.
I
Just
think
look
you
at the
heard
for sale signs outside the houses and for lease signs in the windows downtown. How simple it would be to acquire real estate in a place like this, enroll your kids in the decent-looking school, live a life of easy parking and J.Crew catalog lifestyle shots of playing in the front yard, leaves, or sitting around a fireplace that provides actual warmth by burning actual wood. Johnstown, New York, is unquestionably diminished from its heyday, but it still presents itself as wholesome, handsome in its way, hushed and preserved as a museum. On the plane, I told Fernandez and Tillman not to tell me anything about the case until we got here. Even after we landed and piled into the Crown Victoria waiting for us at the airstrip, I asked for a drive around town instead of heading straight to the motel. A drive? We're on the clock here, Nate, Fernandez said. Don't tell me about the clock. I know about the goddamn clock. I sounded like a sulky kid, which is pretty much what I am when it comes to having my feelings hurt by Fernandez. She tricked me to get here, and, worse, used Tillman to do it. It wasn't easy to admit that she knew me as well as she did. It was even harder to admit how jealous I was thinking of her in cahoots with him. It wasn't the two of them leveraging my weak points that I minded so much as the idea of the two of them together, planning, their heads close over some diner table, excited by the game of it all. Partners. Turn left, I tell Fernandez, who's the one behind the wheel. All of a sudden, I realize that we've started north up Henry Street toward downtown, and if we don't deviate our course, we'll drive past the house. Turn! Fernandez makes the left, shoots a smirk at me in the rearview mirror, and just like that, I'm a little in love with her again. So you grew up here, that it? Tillman asks when I let Fernandez drive back out to the 30A that will take us past the Utilitarian Mall to the Holiday Inn where we'll be headquartered. I didn't grow up here. I changed here. It's not what I meant to say. It's just what comes out. Changed? Puberty. Uh-huh. You'll know it when you get to it, Tillman. Another coincidence, Fernandez says. You living here when you were a kid. It's not a coincidence. Then what is it? The playoff round to find the buried. A homecoming reunion. A trap. I'm not sure yet, I say. The Holiday Inn is a two-story slab atop a small rise on the highway between Johnstown and Gloversville, the former's nearly conjoined twin 2 miles farther north. The stretch of parking lot out front is empty except for a couple rentals. Salesmen, I'm guessing. 3 dented beaters by the door, the staff. and half a dozen Johnstown police cruisers. That's got to be the whole fleet, Tillman says. They're doing their thing, Fernandez says, parking several spots away from the nearest car. We're here to do ours. So why are we here at all? I ask her. Protocol. We need to let them know who we are. Get whatever information they may have, use what we need on their resources side. And then we go our own way. Small towns like these, you gotta kiss the chief's ring, Tillman adds. Do they know what we do? Tillman and Fernandez share a glance. We sure as hell didn't tell them, she says. That doesn't mean they won't know, he says. How's that? After Colorado Springs, word kinda leaked about our unit among some uniforms out there in the big wide world, Fernandez answers. Nothing official or anything, and the media never found out about it. But they're cops. And cops talk to cops. About me, you mean. The freak who's hunting the freaks by holding people's hands. There's a pause as the two of them consider a reply, but I realize I'm right. It's exactly what we do. Exactly what I am. Let's assume they don't know shit. It's usually a safe bet in places like this. Fernandez says, pops her door open and starts across the lot. An overheated meeting room, a long table, and 3 cops posed around the far end as if for a family portrait. 2 30-something officers standing on either side of a seated older man. There are files with each of our names on them in front of the other chairs, and while Fernandez and Tillman find theirs and sit, I ignore them all, head straight to the window and try to figure out how to open it so I can breathe. Agent Tillman, this is Agent Fernandez, and over there is Agent Russo, Tillman says by way of brisk introduction. I notice he's not even bothering with saying I'm with the Bureau anymore. Ted Smalley, the older man says, standing now. Mid-50s, though his head has the chubby cheek, chrome-domed, rosy openness of an infant, a monstrous baby raised on onion rings. I'm the chief around here, and this is Atchison and Poulter, at your service. The 2 officers nod, but say nothing. Despite the apparent warmth of his tone, it's clear that Smalley is a ballbuster they don't want to screw up around, especially in front of federal agents. It's the way he lifts his belt as he stands and heaves back his shoulders. The maximum claim on the room's available cubic feet for himself. We've got a lot of work to do, as you know, Smalley starts winding up. But there's also some immediate administrative issues I'd like to see tended to. Division of powers, municipal, federal. I'm sure you've dealt with this kind of thing before. Yes, Tillman says, his patience already strained. For instance, we need to sort out who's running point on press releases, news conferences, Smalley continues. We haven't made a statement yet, and there's already a pack of wolves circling the station downtown. Now, while I generally hate the sons of bitches, they won't... Excuse me, Chief? That's not really our thing, Fernandez interrupts. What's important for the 3 of us is to get started on our investigation. You're the quarterback on the core activities, not us. Sure, of course, Smalley says, working to discern whether this statement is a real concession or smoke up his ass. Well, we've already got all our uniforms and everyone the Gloversville force can spare out. We're referring to our own independent investigation, Fernandez says, interrupting again. The way it works is that you'll be running the conventional search on the ground, and we'll be doing our own working alongside but outside of your team's activities, Tillman explains. We're conventional, and you do your own thing. That it? That's right. Together but separate. We found that works best. Smalley belies his name by being a big man. Not tall, but thick around the chest and thighs, so that he appears rooted no matter where he stands or sits. An oak tree that is miraculously capable of movement. Just as he moves now, pivoting to look my way. When he speaks next, it's without any trace of the homey welcome he was faking up until now. I think you'll find that window doesn't open. Would have thought you'd have known that before trying. How would I know that? You're the psychic, aren't you? So there it is. He knows. And now he's got to make a show of disapproval in front of his 2 uniforms. But then I catch something behind his eyes. An aura I'm sometimes able to see, not around people, but in them. He would merely dislike me if it was a matter of an old-school cop confronted by a new-age flake intruding on his territory. But he hates me for some other reason. Whoa, you're good, I manage. You after my job or something? Is that what they call it? A job? Smalley looks to Tillman. That girl was taken less than 4 hours ago, and you bring this joker in? We consider him a valuable asset. Jesus H. Smalley says, then shakes his head at the 2 officers. Guess the feds figure that poor kid's dead already. We didn't fly across half the country to waste anybody's time, Fernandez says. We're here to find her. Yeah? How many other missing people has your valuable asset here found alive? For a moment, I think I've succeeded in yanking the window out of the frame it's been painted into. Or perhaps I've only pushed my hand through the glass. It's the rush of air past my ears, a hot gust out of nowhere, as if with the opening of an oven door. But the window remains unmoved, the noise coming from inside me, the furious throb of blood. Times sure have changed at the Bureau, Smalley is saying from what sounds like an increasing distance. Sending gypsies out to a kidnapping investigation? What's next? I start for him after gypsies. 2 strides from the window to where the son of a bitch is standing at the head of the table like he's ready to carve a turkey. He watches me come, almost amused, curious to discover what I have in mind. When he sees my hands raising for his throat, he doesn't make a defensive move. He just pulls himself straight to meet the blow. It's impossible to tell if it's because he doesn't have time to do anything else, or if he thinks it's unlikely that I'm able to bring him down. Nate! Fernandez kicks her chair back and stands between us, though she looks only at me. I want him out of here, I say. He's the chief of police in this jurisdiction. He's the man with the keys on his belt. Then let him give them to us, or he can shove them up his ass. Look at him. A burnt bulb hick who's only gonna slow us down. That you reading my future? Smalley says. No, that's me reading the horse shit on your shoes. Smalley actually looks down at his feet. When he finds the black leather clean and polished, he makes a click sound from his back teeth. He looks up directly into my eyes, fearless and looking 20 years younger than 2 seconds ago. I know who you are. He doesn't go on. It leaves Fernandez to nudge him. What are you talking about? The haunted house kid, Smalley says. His parents tried to sell a tall tale on the back of a little girl gone missing 30 years ago. Real classy stock you come from. You don't know a thing about it, I say. But I do. I know all about it. Question is, do your minders hear? What's going on, Nate? Fernandez asks. Later. What other little girl? Later. I step back from her, almost tripping over the leg of the chair behind me. I can see you're not fully up to speed on Mr. Russo's place in Johnstown history, Smalley says to Fernandez and Tillman, enjoying himself now. Your shaman certainly has a gift for missing children. I'll give him that. Pauline Alt, and now Allison Prue. Both female, both born in town, both 12 years old. And you, just a boy of 7 talking nonsense about a monster. A skeleton or other, wasn't that it? Congratulations, I say. How long did that Google search take you? I'm surprised you can read, let alone type. I don't know you from the internet, Mr. Russo. I remember you. He slips his thumbs under his belt and lets the rest of his hands hang off him like gloves on a hook. See, I've been on the Johnstown force for a long time, he goes on. his anger building right along with mine. I was a sergeant when Pauline Alt disappeared. Worked that case hard. So I remember when your daddy came out saying there was a ghostie living in the Heinrichs place on Henry Street who might have had a hand in it. His teeth. Triumphant display of yellowish canines. Well, I'm a fair bit older now, he continues. And I can tell you I've never known a ghost to do harm to a child, or anyone else for that matter. People do that. Daddies do that. Grown men do that. Are you accusing me of something? I'm just laying out my thoughts. You have to understand, Mr. Russo. I'm not as smart as your FBI friends here. I've got to talk this stuff out. My weight shifts from left to right and back again, as if I'm looking for a way to get around Fernandez, when I'm actually working to regain my balance. I was just a boy when Pauline went missing, I say. And I started my day in Colorado and was in a plane until 20 minutes ago. But that's what makes it so interesting. Alibis always are. Like one of those tricks where the man in the fancy cape gets shackled in chains before they lock him in the safe. He still gets out, doesn't he? The magician sets it up so that he always gets out. Maybe I've been silent and alone too long before today. Or maybe this guy is craftier than he looks. Whatever it is, he's reclaimed this room and all the air in it in under a minute. Well, this is fun, I say, bumping the chair behind me so that it squeaks away in retreat. But I thought there's a human being we're here to find. You're right, Smalley says. So do you all mind if I continue? Everyone sits except for the chief. When Fernandez shoots me a "what the hell was that all about" look, I pretend I don't notice. And while I can feel Tillman burning the same question into me from across the table, he's easier to ignore. Allison Prue left her house on Prospect Street at 6:45 in the morning to attend gymnastics class at Knox Junior High, just as she did every Tuesday morning. At present, we have a single eyewitness who saw her walking along her normal course between her house and the school, which is only a couple blocks apart. She never got there. Who's the eyewitness? Tillman asks. Elderly lady named Edwina Dillenbeck. Lived at the corner of Madison and Perry her whole life. She have a husband? Fernandez jumps in. Children? You mean someone who might have done it? Husband died 10 years ago at least, and the Dillenbeck kids are long gone. Both girls, by the way. We've got a list of names on the registry, Tillman says. There anybody on it you'd say we should look at first? By registry, you mean that list of child molesters? None of them live in Johnstown. So there's no name here that jumps out at you as someone to be particularly concerned about. Not one in a town of 8,000. Tillman holds the printout sheet to Smalley, but he doesn't take it. People like that don't tend to stay long around here, he says. It's a small town thing. Gives a man in my position a certain leeway about who's made to feel at home and who isn't. Understand what I'm saying? Who are you looking at then? Fernandez asks. You're the FBI agent. You do the profiling about the psychological traits and lousy childhoods. I'm just a dumb cop. So I'm looking at everybody. What about the girl's family? They're pretty upset right now, as you can imagine. Agent Fernandez isn't asking how they're feeling, Tillman says. Smalley raps a knuckle on the table. Right. You've got to look at the family first in a situation like this. They teach you that at Quantico, don't they? Well, I guess I've pretty much eliminated them from my mind. Why? Fernandez says. I know them. They're good people. Mother is a teacher at the primary school. Father has his own small business. Doing what? Sheet metal, roofing, repairs, that sort of thing. Has a couple part-time guys working for him in the summers and keeps things going on his own in the winters. Church-going man. Likes to drink now and then, but I never had a problem with him. They have any other kids? One, a boy. Name's Jacob. How old? 7, Smalley says, then smirks my way. Same as you way back when. Isn't that something? I might otherwise take another run at him, but I'm somewhere else. Interpreting a sensation like someone has entered the room, though the door to the boardroom remains closed. A message sent out on a frequency that I'm picking up, but not clearly enough to understand. It's not meant for me anyway, or for anyone in particular. A cry of terror that only I'm able to catch. Let me see your picture, I say. Tillman opens his file folder, pulls out a school photo of Allison Prue and frisbees it over the table at me. Long-chinned, elfish-eared, teeth of a size and arrangement that, in a smile, rested on her bottom lip, pulling it back. I'm not expecting the glasses. A tortoiseshell frame meant for someone decades older, as if she was trying on her mother's pair and had forgotten to return them. Behind the lenses, brown eyes, wide and clear. A testimony to exercise and early nights, and the certainty that she would go on to better things than most in the lineup of fellow Knox Junior High students waiting for their turn in front of the camera on picture day. Fernandez leans close next to me. The smell of her skin like a gin and tonic. Lemony and mineral and strong. You getting something? Not exactly. Is it her? Is she still alive? I can't be sure, but I think so, yeah. Has he... I don't know. You see where she might be? No. It's like she's veiled somehow. All the particulars kind of
Hello, Nick.
rubbed away. It feels intentional. I flip the picture over, as if looking at her image for a second longer brings the same pain as staring at the sun. I think he may have hidden her somewhere. Smalley double takes as Fernandez and Tillman nod at what I've said. You people are listening to him? He says. He looks at a photo, makes a face like he's gonna crap himself, and that's it. You all just... What's Allison's weight? Height? I ask, cutting Smalley off. He glances down at a sheet in front of him. 105.52. Small, that's good. I start for the door. I want to meet the family. Fernandez takes her leather satchel and falls in behind me on the way to the door, as does Tillman after her. None of us look back Smalley's way. Wait! Where the hell you going? The big man calls after us. And what's so good about her being small? It might give us more time if he buries her. Fernandez answers without turning and follows me out into the hall, leaving Tillman to close the door behind him. 13. We come out the doors and cross the parking lot at something close to a run. A wind is picked up that lifts the first of the fallen leaves and slaps them against our cheeks. Okay, what was the chief talking about back there? Tillman asked me, even before we were in the car. Nothing you didn't already know. Bullshit. We get in, Tillman roaring the engine and shouting at me in the back seat as he reverses and screeches out onto 38 toward town. We knew you lived here for a short time when you were a kid. That's it, he says. I think I would have remembered if someone told me your father tried to blame a girl's disappearance on a dead man. It was a play at a quick buck, that's all. Not that it worked. How did it work? My parents made up this stuff out of next to nothing. Took it public, but it didn't take off. Pauline's disappearance was a coincidence they figured they could hang it on. Hey, another coincidence. We should be getting used to how thick those are stacking up, shouldn't we, Claire? I didn't do anything wrong. I'm shouting now. I was 7 years old, for fuck's sake. Tillman and Fernandez take a second to weigh my denial. Where's your father now? Fernandez asked, taking over. He died before any of the burial killings started, so you can forget about him. Did they ever find Pauline Alt? No. So she could be in a box somewhere too, right? I guess so. Or she could be dealing blackjack in Biloxi, or an unrelated pile of bones nobody's found yet out back of a rest stop. Just tell me this. What are you hiding, Nate? Though Tillman asked the question, it's Fernandez who shifts halfway around in her seat to watch me answer it. I don't understand most of it myself, I say, fighting an unexpected wave of emotion. My ability to see the way I do, it's not something I was born with. It was given to me when I was a kid here in Johnstown. And I don't know what it was, but the thing that gave it to me was bad. It wasn't alive. It wasn't human. A bad, bad thing. Tillman takes a hard right on red at the corner of Briggs Street, causing a chorus of honks to sound off behind us. I'm not hiding any of it. I don't know what it is, so how could I? But here's what I do know, I go on. This investigation, if it's going to work, you have to trust me. And you have to stop trying to fit it into logic and rules. Because the weird part of it isn't just that I see things through people, it's that the ones who've been buried alive are all connected in a way that taking the logical approach is never going to figure out. You're forgetting something, Fernandez says. What? You're part of it somehow. Yes, but now you're forgetting something. What? If I am, you're both part of it too. 14. Allison Prue's house was once a broad-shouldered yellow brick dwelling for a single prosperous family, but has since been cut up into a fourplex of apartments, her family occupying the whole of the top third floor. To reach the door, you have to take an external staircase that appears to have once been a fire escape that's been roofed and walled in with plywood. On the way up, there's squares cut out here and there of a size you couldn't put your head through. I think of Allison coming and going by this route, her way out into the world and back again. Stairs that, in the gray semi-darkness of dawn when she descended them to go to gymnastics class this morning, she found her footing from memory instead of turning on the single bulb at the top. How do I know? Allison tells me. Or maybe it's the metal of the steps themselves, grieving the loss of the touch of her sneakers, always the first human weight of the day. Tillman is at the top and knocking before Fernandez and I are halfway up. It's why when the door is opened by a thin man in a white t-shirt ghosted with mustard stains, the man has to look past him to see how many more of us are clanking up toward.
Oh, hey, you're in trouble.
Wilson Prue?
Okay.
I'm Agent Tillman with... Call me Will? He says it like a question. Maybe for him it is. Either way, the four of us are now gathered around the threshold, Will Prue blocking our way with his hands on the door's frame, though judging from the blank expression he wears, it may be that he has to keep his grip there to prevent himself from collapsing into our arms. Will? I'm Claire Fernandez, FBI. May we come in? He looks at her without looking at her. There's something vaguely Amish about him. The ridgeline of beard, the wrinkles that come from working out of doors, along with a clenched demeanor that suggests a love of order and privacy above all else. You found her, he says. Will, Mr. Prue, we're here to... They send people like you in person to tell people like me that. A mother to tell another mother bad news, he says to Fernandez, not acknowledging she's spoken. And then to Tillman, a father telling a father. He shifts his focus to me. So where does that leave you? We haven't found Allison yet, I say, but we're going to. You are? Yes. You don't have any kids, do you? No, sir, I don't. Didn't think so. He may be about to hit me. He may be about to crumple to the floor and curl up into a ball. It's impossible to tell based on the flatness of his voice, the numbed parts of him that might otherwise show what he's feeling. We're here to help, I say. How? He says finally. How can you tell me you're going to find her? Because it ends here. Because the Bone Man wants to see me in person one more time. Because my life means less to me than your daughter's. A person I've never met, but who's reaching out to me even as I stand here right now. Because I find people, I say. It's unclear whether I'm convincing him, or if in his oddly emotionless shock, he's hearing everything anyone else might say is false. Maybe everything is a lie to him. He's found it safer that way. The odds improved. The truth is, after this, I'm done. I continue, telling Will Prue something I haven't told anybody else, including myself. I can't do this anymore. It's too much. This is my last job. He blinks so slow it's as if there's glue over his eyes. Breathes out through his foam-rimmed mouth, filling the small space of the landing with the smell of wet wool. My wife is in the kitchen, he says, and takes a half step to the right. If we come in sideways and let our backs rub against him, there's just enough room to enter. Fernandez first, then Tillman, then me. Dreading the contact with his body, but surprised that when my shirt hisses over his, I'm not flooded with the worry and pain I assumed has deadened his outward appearance. There is only a coldness. Not emotionally cold. Not only that, but his body temperature, along with a low electrical hum of the kind a transformer makes, mechanical and constant and radiating threat. I pass him, trying to feel through what's missing in the man, making my way along the creaking hallway to the tiny kitchen at the back of the apartment. It's why I barely notice the woman slumped in a chair at the table who Fernandez is trying to return to consciousness. Mrs. Prue? Audrey? Fernandez shakes her, the head rolling heavy as a bowling ball. It doesn't seem possible that a neck so long and prematurely liver-spotted could remain attached to it without something giving away. Call an ambulance, Fernandez says to no one in particular. None of us move. Not even Audrey Prue's husband, who watches his wife with the marginal interest of a physician familiar with a patient's chronic condition. Then the woman is gasping, wiping the spit from her chin. Oh, God, she announces. I was out there for a second. You fainted. Sorry, oh shit. Sorry, There's nothing to apologize for. Allison Prue's mother looks at Fernandez directly for the first time, her head steady. How would you know that? It's not aggression. Audrey Prue doesn't have the energy for that, even if she felt it, which I doubt she does. She's not in control of what she's saying. She's not in control of anything. Because from the moment her daughter didn't show up at school, and the gymnastics coach called to see if she was sick, from the moment it dawned on her that Allison was now the subject of one of those stories on the news that you watched and thought, that's the nightmare of all nightmares right there. She felt all the emotional checks and balances normally at her command pull away from her. Even with all the experience I've had in kitchens like these, with mothers like her, Audrey Prue may be the most fractured person I've ever met. The elongated shape of her skull, ears red as stove elements on high, her frame barely fixed to the chair, her portrait a kind of cubist rearrangement of herself. Tillman pulls up a chair and sits in front of her. Behind me, I can feel Will Prue come to stand in the doorframe of the kitchen. Blocking entrances and exits is his household advantage. A skinny gatekeeper. My name is John. This is Claire, and behind me is Nate. We're here to provide you and your family with a special opportunity, but there isn't a whole lot of time to think it over. This isn't Tillman's usual introduction for interviewees. He's letting his rules slide, as if he knows it's true this is our last chance to get it right as much as I do. The result is that he sounds like he's selling this woman some fool's gold on a late-night infomercial, which isn't really so far off. In any case, she's listening. Just as her husband is, nose breathing against my shoulder. Okay, she says. What do I do? There's a moment when none of us know who's best to answer this. A moment that allows a ghost to appear, a figure advancing from out of the gloom of a bedroom off the kitchen. A boy, wild-haired, smears of food colored outside the lines of his mouth. A child who, in the life-altering shifts of this day, has already fallen into neglect, a feral, nervy silence. Not a ghost, then. Allison's little brother, who was perhaps always this way. You're Jacob, I say. The boy's head lolls around atop his neck like his mother's just had, though in his case, it's an apparently intentional gesture that may be his version of a lazy nod. Come sit with us, I say. We were just talking to your mom about... Go back to your room, Jacob, his father says, in the same flat tone with which he's spoken all along. But the boy flinches as though shouted at, retreats back into the shadows and pulls the door 2/3 closed. Without looking back at the boy's father, I say, sometimes it helps if I can gather all your energies in one place. He shuffles over to sit in the chair next to his wife, bumping into me on the way, harder than he needed to, and sits up so straight he appears bird-like, a stork or flamingo, alert to an approaching predator. Energies, he says. Maybe I should explain. We're part of a team that... Let me see some ID right now. My name is Nate Russo. I don't care about who you are. I'm asking you who you're with. Tillman has his badge and photo card out, lays it on the table. FBI, he says. We already told you this. The father doesn't look at the identification, only me. But his question is for Tillman. What's he talking about? Nate works with us. We've identified a very special talents in him. In cases like these, he's a psychic. We think he can help us find your daughter. Psychic. Will Prue repeats. Like a mind reader. Something like that. The tall man addresses me now. You want to read my family's minds? Allison is trying to reach us right now, Mr. Prue, I start. Wherever she is, she's left a trail of breadcrumbs behind. Chances are the regular police won't be able to see that trail in time to help her. Thou shalt not worship false idols. That what you are, a magician, a seer? I try not to show how off-put I am by his use of my preferred description of myself. How this is the sort of mind-reading trick the Bone Man likes to perform on me. Now that I'm looking at him, there is something of the Bone Man in Will Prue's shape. An old-fashioned deliberateness to his movements. The voice, too. The unnerving calm of the hypnotist or pastor. It's not magic, I say. It's Allison. Her energy is out there, and you shall have no other gods before me. Mr. Prue, listen to me. He stands. If it's possible, he's even taller than when he opened the door moments ago. Get out of my house. But I don't move. Nobody does. The devil has had a hand in whatever's happened to our family today. Will Prue continues, moving closer to me without taking a step. I won't let one of his servants reach into our souls and take anything more. Fernandez holds me by the elbow. Let's go, Nate. He doesn't know what he's doing. We'll find another way. This is the only way. But she's already pulling me back toward the hallway. Tillman following, the kitchen receding like a subway station viewed from the back of a train as it speeds away. We're at the door and Fernandez is opening it when I hear something that could come from either inside or outside the apartment. Neither Fernandez or Tillman seem to notice, but I pause, so that the two of them are already on the first step down and I'm alone on the apartment's linoleum landing. Stop! Without getting out of her chair, Audrey Prue's voice fills the room. The hall spills down the fire escape stairs. When I turn, I find that she has literally pulled herself together. Not a fractured portrait anymore, but a woman who has summoned what's left of her to be whole for this moment. The boy now stands behind her too, silently emerged from his room to lend his vote to his mother. Read me, she says. Her husband's head slides over to look down at her, but even now it betrays no outward sign of either temper or concession. Not that it matters either way to me, because I'm already striding back into the kitchen and taking the seat Tillman had occupied directly in front of her. We should do it now, I say. This isn't going to work, Audrey, her husband says. It doesn't matter what you say. She doesn't take her eyes from mine. It doesn't. We'll need some privacy, I say. You mean the police station we have to leave? No, it's better if it's here. This is Allison's space. What about her room? That's good. That's perfect. Fernandez and Tillman have returned, but they remain in the hallway, sensing that their presences, if they were to come any closer, might disrupt whatever fragile balance that's allowing Audrey Prue to rise and start toward a second bedroom door next to the fridge. For the first time, I notice her feet are bare, veined and heavy as marble. I follow her into Allison's room. For the whole of the 12-foot journey, I expect Will Prue to leap on my back, or reach out a long arm and hook his spidery fingers around my neck. There seems to be no way that he will let me pull the door closed behind us, leaving his wife alone with a mind-reading stranger. But he does. Audrey scans the room just as I do, the two of us wondering where we might sit without disturbing the Allison-ness of the place. There is a chair next to the window, but its seat is stacked high with t-shirts and socks and jeans, all worn and tossed at the end of the day, so that together they could be read like the layers of soil revealed by an archaeological dig. I've seen laundry piles like this too many times before. The leavings of the missing, sacred and untouchable. As are the two hand puppets slouched atop the bureau mirror, Oscar the Grouch and the Cookie Monster, friends of Allison's from an earlier age but not yet handed down to her brother. An empty glasses case, school textbooks, a framed photo of her, the same school portrait being used in all the search posters, on a walnut side table salted with dust. A scattered rainbow of hair bands, the bed unmade, the sheets telling the story of a girl who kicked herself free of them only hours before, the indentation of her body a traceable outline of restlessness. In the end, she had no choice. Audrey smooths a spot for herself at the end of the bed and sits on the corner, the springs emitting a sound like a cleared throat. "Thank you for letting me stay," I say. "I didn't care one way or the other. Not at first." "Then you changed your mind?" "There's been a lot of people through here today already, you know? Don't remember what half of them said, you included," she says, swaying as if to some irresistible melody as she speaks. "But then I watched you walking away and I had this thought. Not even a thought, really, spoken words, clear as anything, like the Bible's always saying how people hear the word of God or the Virgin or some angel, but I never have. Never like that. Don't let him go. That's what it said. It wasn't until I asked you to wait that I figured out whose voice those words belonged to. Allison." She stops swaying. "You heard it too?" "No, but I know you're her anchor. Her link to where we are now, to home. You're the way she's going to tell me where she is." "I can't say that." "You don't have to. That how it works? You do your thing and you'll see where she is?" "Not as directly as that. Not as clean. But yes, if it goes well, I'm going to see and hear things that she experienced in the recent past. Signs, places, people, whatever comes over. And hopefully we can put it all together." "What do I do?" "Nothing but feel Allison's presence." She squeezes her face, as though adding a difficult sum in her head. "It's hard to decide what to think of." I sit down next to her. "Don't think. Don't remember," I say. "Just try to open yourself to her." She closes her eyes, her breathing jagged. It allows me to pull the recorder out and start it. "Allison?" she says. Her face eases. "Good. That's great. Now I'm going to hold your hand, okay?" "Okay." It might feel a little weird, what happens when I touch you. But don't break away, okay? "Okay." The hesitation isn't for her sake. It's because when I take Audrey Prue's red-knuckled hand in mine, I know the storm that's going to hit me. And it will join all the other storms taken on from other parents, other husbands, other sisters and friends. When I started doing this, I thought it was something I could withstand. But there's a limit. I know now. There's a point where I won't be able to contain all the anguish of those who've suffered these kind of losses. Maybe the touch of this woman's skin will rip me open once and for all. I slip my hand under hers. Squeeze until the bones line up against my palm like gathered twigs. It starts in the teeth, a burning deep in the roots that rushes up to the bone. This is where Audrey Prue's pain lives and radiates from, her molars ground down to the stubs. My free hand flies to my mouth and traps a howl inside. I will die if Allison doesn't come home. This is the promise Audrey has made to herself. It will leave Jacob and Will alone, but I won't be able to stay. I can't barely hang on now. I don't hear this as words. It arrives as a chunk of knowledge, as if the plot of a book you've read but long enough ago that the sentences themselves have evaporated. I will die if I have to live another day of this. It's like being aware of how long you're able to hold your breath underwater without thinking of it in terms of seconds, knowing what will follow from breathing the water in without thinking of it as death. A breath I'm now holding myself. I'm suffocating just as Allison's mother has been since this morning, and maybe longer for different reasons, in milder degrees. A panicked need for oxygen, a dry drowning that transfers from her to me. It lets Audrey Prue breathe. And as the air of her daughter's bedroom, the human smells of athletic girlhood and discount fabric softener and the fumes of the oil furnace chugging away 4 floors below goes in, it comes out in a grateful sob. The whole room seems to be breathing now, the whole of Johnstown, the whole of Allison's known world, and me fighting to breathe along with it. In comes her mother's pain, out comes the last things her daughter remembers. Sleep. Holy shit. Why am I so tired? No, not tired, not sleep, not me. Fight it. Fight the sleep that's not sleep. Fight to see the White House. Nobody lives in the White House anymore. So sleepy, but have to stay awake or no. The animal, what's its name? Black and toothy, fierce. Why can't I remember its name? Why can't I? Mom? Why is this happening, Mom? Where am I? Fat guy, in the lights, colors blue and red and yellow, white lights in the stars. So bright, flashing on the castle in the sky. I remember that. Do you remember, Mom? Do you remember the castle? Don't let the dark sleep come, don't. Mom? She yanks her hand away, looks to the window, the door, her reflection in the bureau mirror. I have to go. Mrs. Prue, Audrey, you can't just... I have to help her. Where are you going to go? I don't know. She looks at me now. I don't know where she is. She's herself again. The tide of fear washes from me and back over her. The temporary relief I provided preventing her from fainting but settling her back onto the mattress she'd partly risen from. Her pain is less than it was before, blunted by whatever excess I've claimed for myself, but it's still there, pounding away, the bass line of a relentless music coming through the walls. She was here, wasn't she? She says. Just now, that was her. Yes. Did you see the things she said? Some of them. It was a little unusual. How? Blurry. And most of the time, if they can see it, I can see it. But you heard her. Yes. As if she was talking to herself. Like someone trying to sort out their own weird dream. She gasped at the intrusion of a thought. Is she... Oh, Jesus. Oh, Christ. Is she... alive? I believe she is. She touches my face. For a second, I wonder if she's about to pull me close for a kiss. It's how I recall such things happening. When a woman might do this to me, and not because they're trying to touch the lost ones she briefly heard speaking out of my mouth. A feathery stroke down my cheek that lingers at my jaw, but it's not enough contact to bring a piece of Allison back. Audrey lets her hand drop. Not embarrassed, disappointed that the magic didn't last. Allison has a message for you, I say. In what she said to you? No. It came right at the end. When she knew it was you she was using as a bridge. I don't understand what it means, but maybe you will. Tell me. She swallows. Sorry for the perfume. At first, I'm not sure she's heard me, or if she's as puzzled by the statement as I am. But then her lips puff out, the end of her nose pinkening. The signs particular to Audrey Prue that immediately precede her tears. Oh, my baby. Oh. You know what it means? Yes. Can you share it with me? She shudders. It stretches her face and curves her spine so that she's as misshapen as she appeared in the kitchen when we first came in. Allison took my one bottle of good perfume a few weeks ago, she croaks. When I asked about it, she lied and said she didn't know where it was, even though I could smell it on her when she went out to meet that boy. What boy? Robbie Smullins. It was a secret, the two of them going out for walks and drives and such. Her first boyfriend, I guess. It was a secret she was keeping from you? Not me. Her father. Why? Will wouldn't approve of Allison going around with a 16-year-old. I wasn't the most comfortable with it either, to be honest. But I wasn't any older than her when I did the same thing. And kept that from my daddy, too. We had that in common, the two of us. Something she could share with you. She shared everything with me, except that damned perfume. She laughs, and it's so bracing and light, it's like the windows being opened. Was Allison close with Jacob too? He was her little brother. Is. They fight most of the time they're in the same room. But when they were smaller, they played all the time. She dressed him up like a doll. He made her pretend to be Darth Vader, and he would fight her with lightsabers made out of paper towel rolls. They always had each other, you know? Do you think I could read Jacob too? Her shoulders fold in towards her chest in a reflex against attack. That's not going to happen. Your husband? Yes. Are you afraid of him? Is that it? He doesn't give us or anything, if that's what you're asking. That's not what I'm asking. All of her is moving now. Jerks and corrections that loosen her at the joints. Will lost his parents when he was young, she says. A car accident. Drunk driver. He was their only child, and that it's made it hard for him to feel like other people. To show what's going on inside him. Know what I mean? I think so. The idea of you looking inside his son, inside of him, it's probably his worst fear. Next to what's happening now. Yeah, she says, nods again and keeps nodding in a way that tells me it wasn't a nod in the first place. Next to this. We sit there, next to each other, my hands on my knees and hers flipping on the sheets like a fish pulled from the water. The two of us summoning the strength to leave the stillness of the room. Knocks at the door. 3 raps of increasing sharpness. Audrey? Will Prue shouts. You okay? She manages to get up and I follow her. But not before I lift Allison's framed photo. Can I have this? I ask. Don't you have one? Not this one. She holds on to the picture a moment, absorbing it before returning it to me. Better hide it, she says. And I slip it inside my jacket and hold it there with my arm as best I can. When she opens the door, it's to a kitchen that seems even smaller than it did before. Maybe it's because of all the people in it now. Fernandez and Tillman bodyguarding the fridge, Jacob with a full bowl of untouched Fruit Loops at the table, the tall father at the center. The top of his head an inch under the bulb that makes the sweat of his bald patch twinkle. We're done here, I say, expecting that this is what Will Prue wants to hear, expecting him to step aside. But he stays where he is. What did she say? Who? My wife. What did she tell you? It's not her I was trying to reach. For the first time, his expression changes. It may be actual feeling, for all I know. Did you contact my daughter? Yes, I say, and I step close enough to him so that this time it's my turn to breathe in his face. She said we should keep our eyes on you. He must lift himself up on his toes, or jump, or levitate, because his head bumps the bulb, throws moving shadows over the chipped walls. And then I'm past him, Fernandez and Tillman right behind. We make it out to the fire escape stairs and are halfway down before we hear the smash of something thrown to the floor. You wouldn't have to be a psychic to see the Fruit Loops and milk pooled around the 3 sets of feet on the linoleum floor. 15. You were kidding back there, right? The 3 of us moving at a pace faster than a walk, slower than a run, to the car. After all this time, I would have thought you'd have a better grasp of my sense of humor, Claire. That what you call it? We pile in. Tillman drives on a block, turns right, parks, joins Fernandez and looking back at me. Way out of line back there, she says, even for you. I don't care about the man's sensitivities right now, so I kick the nest to see what comes out. Isn't that one of the interrogation techniques they teach you? Provocation? She doesn't reply to this. What'd you get from the mom? She asks instead. Not the best reading I've ever had. Allison wasn't there? She was there, and she was doing her best to put over what she could. The girl is trying to help us, but something is making it hard for her. Lying 6 feet under in a box somewhere will do that, Tillman says. Is that where she is, Nate? Fernandez asks. Is this a burial case? Second question first, I say. I'm not certain, but I'd bet yes. It seems like it fits the pattern, but it's different somehow, too. Bigger, somehow. Like there's something coming we haven't seen before. Okay, Tillman says. What about the first question? I don't think Allison is in a box. Not yet, anyway. The reading was weird, because there was something else blocking her. A cloud between what she saw and what it might mean. Not for us, trying to interpret it, but for her, even when she saw it. We're on Hoosick Street, a block south of Maine. A mix of businesses that can't afford the already meager rents of the downtown strip proper. The appliance repair place, a knitting store with a window of spindled yarns, and 3-story apartment blocks where Johnstown's addicts and divorce refugees find accommodation on a week-by-week basis. Doors and curtained glass and buildings that all prompt the question, is she in there? There? Or there? Let me hear the tape, Tillman says. I take the dictaphone and play the reading back for them. As they jot notes, I remove Allison's photo from its frame and roll it into a tube the size of a cigar. Slip it into the inside pocket of my jacket with Fernandez watching but not asking where it came from. You're right, Tillman says when it's done. It's like she's trying to figure out where she is, but something's fogging it up for her. A sleep that's not asleep, Fernandez says. Whatever that means, Tillman adds. Did the mom know what castle in the sky meant? Allison seemed to think she might. She didn't say. What about any of the other landmarks Allison mentioned? If that's what they are. There was nothing about the reading the mother seemed to recognize. Not that there was time to question her in detail, but she did mention something useful about a boyfriend. Fernandez slides her face closer, her chin squeaking on the back of the leather seat. What boyfriend? There was no boyfriend in Smalley's file. That's because he's a secret to everyone but the mother. Secret why? He's older, 16. And let me guess, the dad wouldn't approve. He strike you as the open-minded type? It's Tillman's turn to push his face at me. You get a name? Robbie Smullins. Good. We'll track him down. In the meantime, Fernandez says, where should we be looking? She hands me her pen and notepad open to a fresh page. Map making. It's what we usually do at this point after a reading. I find that if the missing person gives me physical signs, I can often assign them points on a compass, with me fixed at the center. How far away these things are is a trickier business. How they relate to where the missing person is right now, trickier still. Okay, I say, looking straight out the front windshield at the length of Hoosick Street. Where's north? Tillman takes out his cell phone and hits the GPS app. That way, he says, pointing left. I shift in my seat and face in the direction Tillman has pointed. Make a dot in the center of the page. Mark north, east, west, and south. Then draw a rough map of the town around it. Johnstown and Gloversville are arranged like two weights at the ends of a barbell, with what was once the Fonda, Johnstown, and Gloversville rail line running between them. For a century, it delivered skins and tools and men up from the Mohawk River and onto Schenectady. Since the rails were removed and a biking path laid down to replace it in the 80s, only Perry Street, the primary north-south artery, connects the two communities directly. In the slightly smaller Johnstown, the commercial district consists of the 4-block east-west stretch along Main Street, which reaches to the 30A, the bypass to the east, and beyond town limits to connect with other 2-lane highways that either take you north into the Adirondack State Park or meander south to eventually connect with the thruway. Within its boundaries, Johnstown has only a few landmarks of note. As the seat of Fulton County, there's the official buildings you'd expect to find on the square. The old courthouse, the one Catholic and a handful of Protestant churches, the jail with bars on the windows of an age that looked like they could be pulled away with a single heave. Up State Street, running off Main to the west, there's Henry Johnson Park, where the town founder's homestead stands and where, in the summer, guides tell stories to visitors about the colonial traders' dealings with the region's Mohawks and Iroquois. The town's handful of bridges all cross the Cayadutta Creek, a waterway that suited the needs of the glove makers who picked this place to do their work. Along Perry, 200 yards up from Main, lies the historical cemetery. The other one, where today's dead-to-be will find their places, is on the edge of town near the bypass. A pitch grove of sugar maples and willows. It looks at first like the town's park until you notice the gray monuments to the colonels and senators and industrialists of the past. The more recent developments of significance include the high school on the eastern edge and the Walmart distribution center, the lone source of low-wage economic optimism off the highway at the town's base. Other than this, Johnstown is a collection of nicer-than-average upstate blocks. The new town, where most of the skin mills and more modest workers' residences were located north of Main, and the old town, where Allison Prue and Pauline Alt and I lived to the south. Read them out, Claire, I say. Give me a second or two between each one. I close my eyes, clear my head of everything so that if something is going to come to me, it won't get tackled by a stray thought. Soon I'm floating about the car, above Hoosick Street, rising in fluttered kicks like a released balloon. Johnstown, a vaguely outlined grid of church spires and rooftops below. Animal. Black and toothy. Nothing. White house. To the right, maybe the east. Fat guy. North. Straight ahead on the way to Gloversville. Colored lights. Nowhere. Everywhere, moving. When we're done, I open my eyes and write in the name of the places next to the dots I've made on the page. Not all have ended up there, but some have. Fernandez and Tillman hand the notebook between them, both wearing the same frown. It's something, I guess, she says, trying to sound hopeful. How do we know it's this town? Tillman asks. A map like this can only help us if we know where the center point is. Pull out wide enough and that could be Albany or Utica or Syracuse for all we know. Except it isn't, I say. Tillman attempts a look of doubt, but it's only his cop's reflex. He knows I'm right. Because the thing is, though I've been wrong before, something he's always first to remind me of, I almost never am when I'm as sure as I'm sounding right now. And then, of course, there's the fact that he's here for the same reason I am. One case to get right to make up for all the ones we didn't. It strikes me that a guy like Tillman would be painfully aware of the same looks of doubt cast his way over his time on this career-stunting unit. There's no going back for him. Can we talk suspects for a minute? Fernandez jumps in. Family first. The father, naturally. The brother, too, Tillman says. Really? Don't know about that. He's just a kid. A strange kid. You notice how he moved around? Like a cat? A bad luck cat, he says, echoing my Halloween impression of Jacob as a ghost. The boyfriend, too. He's got to know a lot more about... Fernandez cuts herself off when she sees me opening the back door of the car. Where the hell are you going? You're the FBI. You work up the profiles, not me, I say, stepping out onto the curb. I'm going for a walk. What if we need you? You know what to do, Claire, I say, and close the door. Mouth, call me, at her through the window while making a phone with a finger and thumb. But when I've carried on down the street and taken the corner toward Main, I pull the phone from my back pocket and turn it off. Shuffle around in a circle, working to locate the spots on the mental map I made in the car. Where are you, Allison? I whisper into the autumn air. Which way should I go? She doesn't answer, but the dead man does. Come home, Nathaniel. I spin around, not a voice inside my head, but right beside it. I've been waiting. Honk! A Johnstown police cruiser rolls past, blasting its horn. It's the two younger cops from the Holiday Inn, slapping the dash at the sight of my startled face. I'd be pissed enough to run after the car and take a fist to the windows if I wasn't grateful to them for making the Bone Man's voice go away. Thanks for the invitation, asshole, I say, and carry on against the suddenly cold wind rolling down from the Adirondack Hills. But I never left. 16. When you're a human receptor, as I am, a conduit for the stolen, the buried, the dead, there is no searching before seeing, no finding before feeling. It's about opening yourself to the world. The unwanted gift of being a seer comes at the cost of being a whole self. I'm not sure I could tell you who Nate Russo is right now. I'm not sure I would like to hear, even if I could. There's more Allison Prue in me as I walk the streets of my youth than the boy who remembers it. And this is a good thing. Because to find her, I have to yield whatever's left of my world to the world as Allison saw it. It's the start of a long, upstate October night. Abrupt, leaf-whispered, hardened by cold. Judging by the people collected at tables in the front of TVs I can see through the yellow squares of window, Johnstown is finishing dinner. Many would be talking about the missing girl. None cast their eyes out and spot me. An out-of-towner who'd look like trouble even if he was laughing. And he's not laughing. He's scuffing along the route she would have taken between her apartment and the treed grounds of Knox Junior High. Then, once I've done that a couple more times, I take the corners more or less at random, reorienting myself to the map of things Allison saw before she was taken by the darkness. As I go, I listen to the recording of the reading I did with her mother. Over and over. Animal, black and toothy, fierce. It could be a description of whoever took her. It could be something else entirely. An actual beast, a ghoul pursuing her just as I have one following me. Whatever it is, it's something Allison had trouble naming directly. All of the phrases I picked up have a similar gauzy quality. Why can't I remember its name? Trying to speak while held in the grip of a dream. Castle in the sky. I might think this had something to do with heaven, particularly when taken with the reference to colored lights, the brightness at the end of the tunnel. Except I'm pretty sure she's still alive. And even though Allison seemed to think her mother would recognize her meaning, Audrey showed no signs that it was something of significance between them. A place, then. A real place. The problem is there's no castles in Johnstown. And as for one being in the sky, it's hard to imagine when the tallest building in town is the one on the corner of Henry and Main with a quick cache on the street level and nothing but cobwebs and rat turds occupying the 4 floors above. Nobody lives in the White House anymore. Given Allison's age and interests, it's unlikely to be some kind of political comment. It's also possible that the line is a quote attributable to someone else. Something she heard her captor say and was repeating so that she wouldn't forget it. Her captor. This is an assumption in itself, but a fairly safe one, seeing as this has all the markings of a burial abduction like the other ones. Every time this has happened before, there's been someone, invariably a man, with few links to the other men who did the same thing, who selected and took and dug the hole. Did Allison see him? Know him? Does he live in the castle in the sky? Is he the fat guy? Don't let the dark sleep come. I rewind to the beginning again. Turn the volume full. Listen for anything that might have spoken beneath my voice, repeating Allison's voice. Why is this happening, Mom? Where am I? Open your eyes, Nathaniel. White lights in the stars, so bright, flashing. I know you're not sleeping. Has Tillman ever heard the Bone Man before? The voice requires the speakers to be cranked up, but it's unquestionably there. Which makes me wonder if it's never been about the volume level. Maybe his voice isn't on the recording itself, but lives beneath it. Maybe his whispers are meant only for me, which is an uncomfortable half step away from saying they're coming from me. I stop partway across the bridge on Perry Street that divides downtown from the residential streets on the north side. Cayadutta Creek gurgling like a thirsty ogre in the darkness below. My father couldn't drive across this bridge without mentioning to his boys how the creek flooded half the town once, years ago, back when the mills sidled up to the banks to use the water in the tanning of hides and the current to carry away the barrels of waste from the process. Buildings, people, even the graves from the cemetery, all of it washed away, he'd say, marveling at the thought, as if we could all do with some more catastrophic rinsing these days. But the idea of a flood frightened me, and I would ask each time if it could ever happen again. No, they've got it figured out now, my father answered vaguely. Promise? Promise. He was a man fluent with promises, a talent that would have helped him jerry-rig his soured businesses, buy time on overdue payments. The creek will never flood again. This is our house for good. No more moving, ever. There's no such thing as ghosts. We moved more times than anyone I ever had a chance to get close to knowing. The waters of Cayadutta Creek look like they're ready to rise above the bank's edge even now. One good rain could spill them over. And he couldn't have been more wrong about the ghosts. It's why I've only made 2 promises in my life. One made in silence and to myself. To not be a man like my father was. One who talked and ran. I would face things, even if it wasn't in my best interests, even if they scared me all the way back to being a little boy. The other promise was to Jalen Jackson, and I broke that one. Maybe I've broken them both. I pull out the photo of Allison Prue, gently unroll it like an ancient scroll, her face another promise waiting to be broken, her teeth aglow. In the dark, a smile that could be mistaken for a snarl. 17. I haven't had a drink for the longest stretch of time since college, but ever since I arrived in Johnstown, it feels like I'm nursing a hangover. An especially foul one, too. Cotton-headed, toothed-ached, vertigo that turns every step into an advance along a tightrope. It may be this sensation that sends me into O'Connell's. The 4 stories of brick above Johnstown's least welcoming bar look like they may collapse into the main floor at any moment. Yet the neon beer signs in the brackish window beckon to the dry drunk in me, promising a world I might make sense of. I've always told myself that the time I've spent in such places was designed to let myself think. As if a bowl of stale peanuts and pints of sulfurous draft and a TV playing the game was a Zen garden. This time, sober, I'm hoping it might be true. Soda water, I tell the bartender when he comes around. And though he's only in his early 20s, one of Johnstown's failures to launch, he gives me the experienced nod that shows he knows an on-the-wagoneer when he sees one. A nod that comes with a telltale wink of suspicion. In a place like this, the ones who order soda invariably return, one day, to order something stronger. There's maybe a dozen others in here with me, but I'm the only one seated at the bar. It's because most are observing a pool game at the table at the rear, a stack of crumpled cash on the side. Because it's the only table in the place, it forces patrons to either commit to a stool or wander around in the gloom. One of the wanderers is older and stands alone. observing the pool game in an eye-darting way that suggests he's more interested in sneaking glimpses of the long-haired girl who holds her arm over a motorcycle helmet and watches her boyfriend line up his next shot than the outcome of the game itself. This furtive interest, not quite subtle enough to go unnoticed, makes him seem familiar to me. My first thought is that he's not someone I actually know, but someone I've drunk with some other time and place. My second is that he's someone I've fought, though this often amounts to the same thing. The man feels my gaze. When I return my focus on the glass of translucent bubbles and waterlogged lime wedged in front of me, it's too late. He starts over. Slow, as if confirming his history with me just as I attempted the same with him. Nathaniel? There's a terrible moment when I believe it is the Bone Man standing next to me. It would explain the sense of recognition. It would explain the use of my full name, now only spoken by customs officials reading my passport, telemarketers, and the dead. Nate? I make myself look at him, for Alison Prue's sake. All the awful things must be faced from here on, because the path to wherever she is paved with awful things. Tim? Holy shit! It is you! It's you too. He looks skeptical. Well, yeah, maybe it is. My brother has gained weight in ways that would probably not be measurable on any scale. A rounding of cheeks, thickening of fingers, swelling of shoulders. Yet, as if the terms of a trade, his waist and legs have thinned. He's also grown a mustache that strikes me as comical, a porno star affectation I'm strongly tempted to tug at to see if it rips away. Have you been following me? I ask him. What? No. Then what are you doing here? Shit, man, I live here. Here? I look around the bar as if he's referring to this room, an inflatable mattress hidden somewhere he uses for a bed after last call. Johnstown, he says. A little insane, right? That's why you were calling me? You wanted to tell me you moved to Johnstown. You got those messages, and you didn't call back. I was busy. Hey, no need to apologize. I wasn't apologizing. Tim sucks at the inside of his cheek and makes a sound that's one of his tics, a form of concession, something that's meant to say, okay, you got me there. Johnstown, I say. Why? Long story, he says, and performs the trick of twitching his mustache without moving any other part of his face. But what about you? What brings you to the Mohawk Valley's beautiful and historical Glove Cities? I'm with the FBI. The FBI? No way. I thought you were a newspaper man. My brother, J. Jonah Jameson. You didn't tell me you were training to be a G-man. It's been a while, Tim. Guess it has. He looks over his shoulder to make sure nobody is listening, then comes in close. It's not Tim anymore, by the way. It's Clarence. Clarence Thomas. What are you talking about? I changed my name. All legaled up and everything. Why? There were issues, he says vaguely, wiping the air with the palm of his hand. Personal insolvency proceeding, litigation up the wazoo. Once I was out of it, there were advantages to, a fresh start. So there were people you still owed who were after you. You were always a smart one, Nate. No wonder Washington hired you. Tim grins at me, launching his head into a stoner's deep nodding of cosmic agreement. A cover for the 100 mental calculations he's making at the same time. It's like a switch being flipped within him, and the calculating glances I saw as he circled the pool game is replaced with this easygoing goofball. He makes easygoing look easy, but a hustler never stops hustling.
Alright guys, I'm gonna get off because apparently I have to eat, so yeah. Alright, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the audiobook. I'll continue listening to it, and if I stream again, I'll just play it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.